Hi, so this is my first video like this. I apologize for the mic quality. If this channel goes anywhere, I'll probably get a better mic. I tried to record on my phone so it would have better audio, and it wasn't working, so we're doing this. The people who are here on this channel right now probably came from my other channel, which is an animation channel, and though I am very open about my opinions and do not really have any desire to not be, people didn't subscribe to that channel for commentary, so I'm gonna try and keep it over here beyond some community posts. This, however, is something I'm probably not going to be putting over there. I want to talk about the incredibly unpopular opinion, even among atheists, of being an anti-theist. An anti-theist means that you think religion is inherently harmful. That does not mean I think we should ban, restrict, or shame religious people or religious practice. I think that is insurmountably more harmful than almost any of the things that religion does. And I would just like to get that out of the way immediately because I'm sure someone is going to come for me and pretend like that's what I think because that's what everyone thinks anti-theists think. That is not the case. I have never come across an anti-theist who thinks we should ban religion or even shame people for being religious. Since this is my first video in general and on this topic, I'm just going to start out, I guess, with my experience with religion, which, although is not my only basis for this, has obviously shaped my opinions and experiences with it. I did not grow up religious. I didn't really grow up like quote unquote atheist either. I just, within my own household, was not very exposed to religion. I didn't know people actually believed in religion. I knew it existed, but I didn't know people genuinely thought it was real until I was around 8. My entire extended family on my father's side is evangelical Christians, and my mom's side is Cherokee and is generally kind of spiritual but not religious. I also grew up and still live in Central Texas, so although I did not grow up religious believing it, I grew up surrounded by it my entire life and still am. Although I have faced a lot of shit as an LGBTQ person from religious people, this is not why I don't like religion. There are religions beyond Christianity and Islam, and within those religions, there are millions of people who are accepting fully of LGBTQ people. So I would also just like to preface it with, although that is a major issue, that is not what I will be talking about because that is an isolated issue within certain communities, relatively small communities of Abrahamic religions. My issue with religion is not even necessarily the teachings of any certain religion, because that would make me against that specific religion, not against religion as a concept. My main issue with religion is religious faith. From now on, if I go forward saying the word faith, I am referring to religious faith, not as in I have faith in myself, I believe in myself, I can do this. I mean religious faith as in I don't need proof, I believe in God. But that is my major issue with religion is faith or belief without proof. So in this, belief without proof and faith are synonymous here. I don't believe basing your worldview on something with no proof can be healthy. Religion is the peak of blissful ignorance. And I don't say ignorance to mean mean, like to be mean or mean stupid or oblivious. I just mean like literal lack of knowledge. It's intentionally shielding yourself from reality. When there's no proof for what you believe and you believe it because of faith, unknowingly you are lying to yourself and to anyone else who you drag into this religion, usually being children or spouses. Or if you're certain brands of Christianity, then the people who you go knock on their door or stand on a street corner. Religion does not create an environment of curiosity and wanting to learn and wanting to expand your knowledge. Religion has held back science. The reason religions came into existence is because we were not scientifically advanced enough to understand these things. That's why, as new religions came about, things for the most part changed. That's why, before we knew what lightning was, there was Zeus. And once we knew what lightning was and that religion started to fade, there really weren't any more lightning gods. And I'm sure there are religions today that have gods like that, but most likely either came about before that discovery or happened to just be a relic of the past. Of course, there are religions that are newer than Christianity or Buddhism or Islam or any of the major world religions. such as Mormonism, which came into existence in the early 1800s. But that's another can of worms that was made by a scam artist. I think if you're not a Mormon, everyone can agree to that. But religion was there to be God of the gaps. God of the gaps is a logical fallacy where basically you throw your hands in the air and say, I don't know, so God did it. To say, if we don't have an answer, that must mean God did it. And that's essentially how religion came into existence. Religion and spirituality obviously are innate to humans, considering they developed all across the world in completely isolated communities. As a Native person, my community is very spiritual. And of course, religion developed in Europe with things like mythology and Christianity, in the Middle East with things like Islam, in Asia with Buddhism, in India with Hinduism. Well, okay, India's sort of part of Asia, but you get the point. So I acknowledge religion is a natural human condition. However, that doesn't mean it's necessary anymore. There are plenty of things that humans did in the past that were necessary to survive that we don't do anymore. We're not hunter-gatherers anymore because we don't need to be. And just because it's natural doesn't mean it's healthy. Now that we have the technology to seek these answers, the ones we don't have, that we're working on them, and that we have so many of these answers that we didn't have when most major religions came into existence, religion really does not serve a purpose. You can argue religion serves a purpose to give people hope and purpose, but I also really don't think that's healthy either. Giving people false hope is not positive. It's lying to them. And to have your whole world view and your whole life planned after what's going to happen after you die, which of course I know is not the case for all religions, but again, major religions with afterlives and reincarnation, to base your whole life around what's going to happen after your life makes you miss out. I'm going to predominantly be using Christianity as an example because that's what I have experience with. I have read the Bible. I grew up around Christianity. Although a lot of these things apply outside of Christianity, it will just be my main example because of this. There are so many arbitrary rules in the Bible. So many. Thankfully, a lot of them aren't followed. Otherwise, most Christians would be in jail. So as much as I hate cherry picking, there are parts that I'm glad that every Christian cherry picks because you couldn't follow the Bible accurately and not be a criminal. But things that are general rules in Christianity, for most Protestants at least, don't have sex before marriage. For Mormons, don't drink caffeine. Some won't let you even take birth control. Some don't let you drink except communion. Some people in some religions can't eat certain foods or wear certain clothes. Or purity culture as a whole, that's very prominent in Christianity and Islam. These things, although I acknowledge are exclusive to these groups, they're not, these groups are not the only religions with ridiculous rules. For example, Jainism, you have to strain all your food to make sure that there's not any bugs in it every time you eat or drink something. These are unnecessary hassles and limitations on what you can do with your life. And whenever you're focusing on the afterlife, when you're focusing on this thing that we have no proof will happen, and you're living your life for this thing that there's no proof will ever happen, you're missing out. And, maybe those people don't want to do that thing anyway. Maybe someone's not allowed to eat pork, but they don't like pork anyway, so it doesn't matter. That's a thing. Maybe someone's not allowed to have sex before marriage, but they're asexual, so they don't care. That's a thing, and that's valid. But the idea that these arbitrary rules are here because of something that there's no proof for is still limiting your opportunity to do those things. And even if you don't want to do those things anyway, it's promoting this idea within that community is limiting the people who do want to do them. So while, yes, religion may give some people hope or a light at the end of the tunnel, there's a cost of, first of all, living in reality, and second of all, long lists of arbitrary rules. The positive traits that come from religion, things like hope, meaning, even things like sobriety, can be just as easily achieved in a more intellectually honest way without religion. Things exclusive to religion that I am aware of, although there are many positives, they are all not exclusive to religion that I'm aware of, and the ones that are exclusive to religion tend to either be neutral or negative. Holy wars don't happen without religion. Lots of things like homophobia and anti-abortion sentiments, although they would not go away, would drastically decrease in places like America and the Middle East without a religious backing behind them. Purity culture, again, probably would still exist, but the promotion of it would be drastically decreased to the point where these things would no longer hold any legal representation. If someone snapped their fingers and everyone came to their senses and realized, wow, there's no proof for this thing I'm believing, I should do more research into it, anti-abortion sentiments would not go away. There are pro-life atheists, there are pro-life deists, and there are pro-life spiritual people. But the predominant group of these people are religious people. And although these things would still exist, if religion just disappeared and went away all at once, they would no longer hold any legal power. So things that are prominent in religion but not exclusive to it often are still bad. And again, that's talking about the effects of religion, which isn't even the whole reason I'm against it. My main point for being against religion is belief without proof. But that also doesn't mean these other issues don't exist. Belief without proof doesn't exist in a vacuum. Belief without proof also lends you to other ideas that you can believe without proof. Like how most flat earthers are Christians. Don't get me wrong, most Christians are not flat earthers by a long shot, but most flat earthers are Christians. Or most QAnoners are evangelicals. Pretty much everyone engaged in purity culture is either Christian or Muslim. And these are all based on things with no evidence, with no backing behind them beyond the religion. Believing something based on feeling instead of fact sets your worldview, especially if that is your whole worldview, sets you up for failure. And then there's the issue of what happens when people lose their faith. When people do more research into it and they realize this is not what I thought it was. Or if someone has a life-shattering event and realizes this doesn't make any sense and loses their faith. It's shown over and over again that this causes existential crisis, mental health crisis, depression. People get confused. People have breakdowns over what's the meaning of life? What am I living for? My whole life was a lie. For example, the YouTuber Jimmy Snow, who has some issues. We're not going to get into that. But if you go watch some of his videos, he has a video about when he left Mormonism. Due to what I'm talking about, actually, he was looking for proof it was true and came to the conclusion that it didn't exist. And when he left it, he felt free, but he also felt destroyed that his whole life and his family had been lying to him. And that's not an uncommon occurrence. And in my own personal life, my father, who is now an atheist and grew up evangelical Christian, despite not believing it once he entered medical school, couldn't admit to himself he was an atheist until a few years ago. And mind you, he's almost 53. Because he was so horrified of the idea of going to hell. He had never been taught about things like evolution or abiogenesis until he entered college, those things being the things that made him leave religion. And you can tell how heavily it has damaged him to be exposed to this mentality and then to be exposed to things with proof and lose that mentality, and how badly it damages your mental health and confuses you and makes you angry and makes you a bitter person. So while I'm absolutely all for people doing more research into their religion, looking for proof outside of it, regardless of what conclusion they come to, unfortunately, when this ends in people losing their faith, as it often does, it also ends in mental health issues. And here I want to talk about, as a person with BPD and addiction issues, I want to talk about addiction programming with religion. For example, the 12-step program is essentially replacing one addiction with another. It's saying, I'm replacing alcohol or drugs or nicotine or whatever with God. It's replacing one addiction with another. And again, when you base all of your sobriety around your faith, or for example, a lot of people in prison, that's another good example. If you base all of your sobriety around faith, if you lose that faith, there's a good chance you'll lose that sobriety too. When people want to do bad things, when people are abusers or criminals or whatever, and they stop doing that because of their faith, don't get me wrong, I'm glad they did, and I have no desire to make them not be religious. I'd rather them be religious and not be a bad person. If they lose that faith, the same thing happens. You go, well, why am I doing this? when the lies slip through the cracks and people start to realize this isn't what I thought it was, whatever benefits came from that religion are not only now gone, but made worse. So while I am completely, more than anyone in favor of religious freedom means freedom from religion as well, by the way, because a lot of Christians don't think it does, at least in America. I also have my right to say I do not support this, and I don't think religion should be as taboo of a topic to debate as it is, as long as everyone is respectful. You can debate politics in a formal setting more easily than you can religion. Religion puts up a wall and says, respect my religion, the end, that's all. And I don't think that should be the case, because if anything, that shows that you're unstable in your beliefs, that you are not confident enough in them to have a genuine conversation about them beyond proselytizing. There should be respect my right to be religious, not respect my religious beliefs. Respect the person. I hate this mentality of you have to respect my opinion in general. No, opinions are not sentient. I'm allowed to criticize your opinion. If you don't want to hear it, you're allowed to walk away, and I will respect that. But respect the person. Beliefs earn respect through credibility and positive impact. People get respect for being sentient beings with feelings, just inherently. But opinions, beliefs, religions gain that respect by having credibility. This doesn't mean that I'm okay with myself or anyone else just going up to a religious person or a church or a mosque or something and going, you're wrong. That's not okay. It's not your place to do that. I'm just saying if the topic comes up, it shouldn't be I'm not allowed to talk about this because I might change your religious views and you don't like that. And I would also like to note there are plenty of religious people who do learning into their religion. I mean, most pastors and priests have to have an education in theology. There's people that I do look up to who are religious, like William Lane Craig, who have PhDs in it and are absolutely brilliant. So there are exceptions to the religious people are ignorant of the history and legitimacy of their religion. There are people who do that research and still come to the conclusion, although it's a bit beyond me, that their religion is true, and that's fine. And I have a lot more respect for those people than the people who shut down conversation, which unfortunately is not only most religious people, but most atheists who just don't want to disrespect anyone's religion. If your beliefs are harmful, I will criticize them. I will not seek you out. I will not go in your spaces and do this. But on my platform, I will criticize things I think are harmful, and I have every right to do so, and they have every right not to listen. So I guess to sum it up, I can't get behind believing something without proof. This doesn't just apply to religion to me. This is also why I'm against some of the other things that people don't like my opinions on, like self-diagnosis or xenogenders or the like. Just generally kind of my outlook on life is if there's no proof for what you're believing, you shouldn't be believing it. So that's the video, I guess. Thank you for watching my first video. I'm sorry the audio quality was shit. Whether you agree with me or not, if you're interested in this or you like my other channel, feel free to subscribe or don't. I don't really care. Just thank you for listening. If you have any counterpoints, I will try my best to go through the comments. If you agree with me, thank you. You're an anomaly and I love you. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for watching.
Last week I saw you at the junkie church. You told me all the things I need to hear. Like I've got a heart of gold and a kind and open soul. So we went and bought ourselves a can of beer. Steel Reserve. I was manic at the clinic. I was feeling like my body disappeared. My tongue rolling around in the void inside my mouth. It was infinite and brown and kinda weird.